Lupin III has been running for 51 years and has a 5-part anime series and 40 anime movies, TV specials, and OVAs. Wait, Lupin has how many anime parts and how many movies? Yeah, to those who remember watching the Red Jacket series which aired on Adult Swim back in 2003, that was part 2. Lupin returned to Adult Swim via Toonami with the part 4 series during 2017, and in 2018, Lupin had reached its 5th part which celebrated its 51st anniversary. Breaking news, Lupin III is also a series that constantly updates and makes previous videos outdated. Part 5 will now air on Toonami on June 15, 2019. As of this edit date, only 4 televised anime have received English dubs, but the majority of the series can be streamed or purchased thanks to Discotek Media and a little bit of Funimation. Since 1989, Lupin has received new anime material on a yearly basis, causing this huge double-digit number of featured films, and it's still growing. Its only competition is Detective Conan. The 40th piece of Lupin film material is the 2019 movie titled Fujiko's Lie. 2019 also marks the passing of its creator Kazuhiko Kato, aka Monkey Punch, known for his risque seinen crime manga, such as Cinderella Boy and Alice. But why is his work in Lupin III so important? Why should you watch this anime? What is it even about? Who are these characters? Or a better question is, where do I start? To answer those questions, here are some quick to the point explanations. Typically, the Lupin series is about a gang of thieves who occasionally steal and avoid being captured by the law. What may confuse people are the characters and their voice actors, since throughout its run of 51 years there have been many changes. Like American superheroes, Lupin is constantly altered with different interpretations, which include their personalities and appearances. For example, the tone of Part 1, aka Green Jacket, is very crime heavy, focusing on darker stories of the criminal underworld. But the original Green Jacket anime didn't do well in TV ratings, so the series became more lighthearted when Isao Takahata and Hayao Miyazaki took over. This softer nature is further seen in the movie The Castle of Cagliostro. In that film, Lupin never shoots anyone, and the other members of the Lupin gang didn't kill any of the villains. These character behaviors were carried over into the Red Jacket series, aka the Part 2 anime, which made situations more ridiculous, and the Lupin gang were only allowed to kill in self-defense. And this set the standard for most Lupin material, such as the Part 3 anime and numerous movies. But everything changed in 2012 as Lupin returned to its darker and naughtier roots. By the combined efforts of Sayao Yamamoto and Takeshi Koike, they managed to give Lupin his balls back, which carried him into a whole new level of smooth criminals. Their collaboration was in the 2012 anime The Woman Called Fujiko Mine. Sayo was the director, while Koike came up with the new slick redesigns. This show broke new territory for Lupin. It had nudity, sex, violence, style, great music, and it was kinda surreal at times. These changes also meant that a few killings on the side was a-okay. But that was just the beginning. In 2014, Takeshi Koike started a separate timeline of ongoing movies, which include Jigen's Gravestone, Goemon's Blood Spray, and Fujiko's Lie. These movies and TV show explored the cast in a very gritty and mean-spirited tone as a tribute to the manga's original criminal roots. Since the arrival of The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, the subsequent television anime would follow their dreary footsteps, giving us Part 4 and the highly acclaimed Part 5, the best Lupin anime ever. As a result of these different Lupins, many anime licensing companies have each taken a piece of Lupin material, which is why you will hear different voices and pronunciations in the English dub. The same thing occurs in the Japanese dub, as most of the original voice actors have passed away or retired. The only actor who's continued working since the 1969 pilot was Kiyoshi Kobayashi, who voices Daisuke Jigen. An example of the changes in the English dub includes copyrights of being unable to say the Lupin name, since the character was based on the French Arsène Lupin novels. Consequently, some dubs will feature a different name for the main character, so instead of saying Lupin, you'll hear Lupin, Rupin, Boss, Arsène, Wolf, Wolf the Third, and Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, the game that keeps you on the edge of your toes. By controlling the joystick and the action button, you determine the fate of Cliff, a lovable outcast.
But in today's standards, the copyright is no longer a problem, so dubbing is free to say the name Lupin. If you're familiar with Lupin III, chances are you heard the Gideon/Discotek cast or the Funimation group, along many standalone dubs featuring different actors. In other words, when you hear Jigen, it'll either be Christopher Sabat or Richard Epcar.
There's only one Lupin, and no one like Lupin is a master of disguise.
Last time I talked about a brief introduction of what Lupin is. This time, we're going to explore the characters. Originally, I planned to have a very elaborate compilation video, but I decided to save that for another time. In this upload, I'm going to give very basic essentials to understanding these characters. In the past, I received questions such as, does Lupin follow the manga, or which series should I start with? I always recommend the TV special, Episode 0, First Contact, which is available for purchase, sub only. First Contact acts as a possible origin story for the entire cast, as implied by the title. The reason I recommend First Contact is because Lupin III doesn't have a canon story. There's very little continuity. Since the series doesn't have a Lupin Bible, character origins will be constantly different, but their personality usually remains the same. This is one of the few adaptations where the anime is more popular than the manga, or even exceeds the manga material. Despite being the first, the Green Jacket series doesn't properly portray the characters, as the biggest focus is Lupin and Zenigata. It wasn't until the sequel Red Jacket series that nearly every episode would focus on these 5 characters, thus creating the Lupin formula that's still used today. Out of the 5 main characters, 3 of them have a lineage which often plays a role in the series. Let's start with Inspector Zenigata, who is a descendant of Heiji Zenigata, a fictional policeman who was known for throwing coins. Inspector Zenigata instead throws handcuffs, usually accompanied with a rope. His character can be either very comical, very serious, or somewhere in the middle. Most content features Zenny in a over-the-top comedic way, as the hard-boiled edition feels very odd in comparison to most of his appearances. His life's goal is to capture Lupin, but a specific reason is never really given. Most of the time, it seems these characters have known each other for a while, implying of a past history, but nothing that would suggest a grudge. Zenny wants to catch him, but doesn't want to kill Lupin, as evidenced through opposing the death penalty. It seems to be an odd friendship or rivalry between the two, but let me clarify that this man is not incompetent. Goofy? Yes, but not incompetent. Zenigata actually caught Lupin a couple of times, but he never stays trapped for long. Despite his failures, Inspector Zenigata vows to one day keep Lupin III behind bars.
You bastard! Lupin! I'll make you pay for this! Ah!
Oh, I'm sure I'll be seeing you around, Pops.
Goemon Ishikawa XIII is a descendant of Ishikawa Goemon, a real-life thief similar to Robin Hood who would steal from the rich and give to the poor. This Goemon is a master swordsman wielding the Santetsuken, or steel cleaver, which can cut through any type of metal. While the inspector acts as the opposing force, Goemon sort of behaves as the ace in the hole. Since he's very powerful, Goemon could easily save Lupin and the crew from any prison or obstacle. Ironically, his functionality is often ignored, which keeps his appearances very low, to the point where he would just suddenly leave. He is a man of honor, which is his most admirable trait, but he doesn't receive the respect he deserves. Goemon's motives thus alter per series, as originally his goal was to be the #1 assassin by killing Lupin III, and the friendship is merely a truce until he has the opportunity to strike. Other versions leave the reasoning behind his friendliness to Lupin vague, but clear enough to know that Goemon won't take his life. Goemon's origins and how he obtained the steel cleaver is constantly rebooted, as seen in Green Jacket, First Contact, and Dragon of Doom. The same can be said for his master, as contradictions occur in both Part 1 and Part 2 anime. He also used to have a thing for Fujiko, but that is now considered very out of character compared to the Goemon that we know today. He follows very old school Japanese traditions that may label him as the last true samurai.
An unworthy target defiles the weapon.
Mine Fujiko, a master thief who uses her feminine wiles to get what she wants. Her skills in thievery used to rival Lupin, such as being a master of disguise, but current material portray her as very manipulative, and obviously very sexy. Her passion lies in stealing jewelry and other materialistic items, in contrast to Lupin, who steals for the thrill, not the reward. Fujiko is a very selfish and greedy woman, but clever enough to deceive many people, making her a very unreliable and dangerous partner. She adds a spice of conflict to the series, often creating the plot of the episode, which makes her more of a threat than the law itself. She acts as an embodiment of lust, especially to Lupin. Her past is completely left in the dark as there's never been an origin story to this character, at least in anime material. The closest to a backstory would be her first meeting with Lupin in First Contact, and a certain Red Jacket episode. Fujiko's greatest assets vary from her seduction, deception, and even Lupin himself. The only redeemable factor she has shown thus far is being motherly towards children, but no matter the situation, this woman always seems to have an ulterior motive.
Oh no, the alarm's going off. What are you gonna do?
Fujiko!
I'm really sorry about all this, but don't worry. If you can just clear this game before time runs out, I'm sure the door will open. Good luck, Lupin. You can do it.
Someone remind me why I keep trusting this woman.
Daisuke Jigen, Lupin's right-hand man and his best friend. Also, he absolutely hates Fujiko. Jigen is a gunman whose skill could rival Goemon's, but is certainly the most relied upon member of Lupin's team. Jigen constantly looks out for Lupin, usually helping him out when Fujiko pulls the rug from under him. He personally thinks Lupin should cut ties with her. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to kill her, not just for Lupin's safety, but for the entire gang. There has been only one scene that I can remember which featured his total hatred for this woman. Jigen also acts as a voice of reason, keeping a cool head and rarely let his emotions get the best of him. Depending on his mood, Jigen could be very hard-boiled or just as goofy as Lupin. He doesn't seem to have a specific goal other than living in the moment or keeping promises. Like the rest of the cast, his origins are changed with some recurring ideas. Most past material involve a story with Jigen leaving a gang and being pursued, usually because of a woman. His luck with love is miserable as women either try to hurt him or end up dying because of his criminal lifestyle. Like Goemon, Jigen is a passionate man with honorable ideals, but still prefers the life of crime. Jigen doesn't look for trouble, but trouble always finds him.
Now we should be able to get through to the North Wing, where we'll find the exhibit room.
Only if Teresa's information is accurate. Do you doubt her? We should always doubt what women have to say, even sweet girls.
Lupin III, grandson of the Phantom Gentleman Thief, Lupin I, and son of Lupin II. Of the entire cast, Lupin is the one who receives the most changes, ranging from a goofy pervert to a cold-blooded crook or even a heroic thief. Typically, the standard Lupin should be a bit funny, a bit perverted, very intelligent, follow a code of honor to the Lupin family, and above all else, Lupin is supposed to be very cool. The challenge is to maintain a balance of these traits. This man is a master of disguise, master escape artist, and a master thief. Lupin always announces his crime so he can be challenged by the cops. His goal is to maintain the reputation of the criminal Lupin family, by showing that he can have anything he wants and not get arrested. But depending what you're watching, his methods in maintaining that lineage will greatly differ. Sometimes you will see him use tools, which could be wacky devices or some slick gizmo. It really all depends on who's writing or directing the story, since the tone or style will alter Lupin's personality, including his motives. His behavior towards anyone is always different in every piece of Lupin material. Think about it this way. Compare Lupin to someone like Batman, who can range from a hero who kills, a hero who doesn't kill, a campy but just hero, or a campy but just hero with manliness. Now apply that Lupin and we have a thief who kills, a thief who doesn't kill, a perverted goofy Lupin, a perverted goofy Lupin who could also be cool, and then there's the mean ones, and the crazy one. Yeah, we don't talk about him. To be honest, it's difficult to sum up all of Lupin, and it'd be easier to talk about each individual version in their own video. But that's an idea for another day. Gosh, I really need to write down how many times I say that. While I'm on the subject, the cast of Lupin will be on and off about killing people. Usually, it's in self-defense, but the point is the characters are supposed to be gray. Not completely evil, but not completely good either, especially for Lupin. That's enough material for today. Next time on part 3 is the introduction to Lupin III anime series. See you next time. Recent news has confirmed that Lupin III will have a 5th part taking place in France. This means Lupin will have 6 anime series. Despite each anime being called a part, there's hardly any continuity as the structure of each show is episodic, with the exception of part 4 and the woman called Fujiko Mine, as they contain an overarching story. It's not necessary to watch an entire part to proceed to the next one, as I recommend people to try out whatever they want. but newer fans of Lupin should be prepared to watch older material as the series is 50 years old, with most of its content being made in 4:3 aspect ratio as opposed to the modern standard of 16:9. Expect to see and hear various changes including voice actors and character designs. The style of each TV series is unique, usually reflecting its time period of creation. Despite the mentioned differences, most Lupin episodes contain similar content featured in the Lupin formula. Reed Nelson came up with this list of things Lupin tends to do, and it's true. I would like to add an extra rule, but that applies toward the next video introduction to movies and TV specials. On the subject of specials, I recommend new fans of Lupin to watch Episode 0 First Contact, as a character introduction and discovering the basic outline for the average episode. Some of the anime content is based on manga chapters, so the tone of each show can vary between being over the top, having perverted slapstick, or simply being cool. Here's a very basic rundown of the 4 Lupin anime. The women called Fujiko Mine will be featured in a different video. It's time to find out what makes Lupin III a unique anime. Part 1 Green Jacket, 1971, 23 episodes. Shinichiro Watanabe cites this version of Lupin as an inspiration for his work in Cowboy Bebop. And that's because this particular series has the greatest emphasis on criminal activity. Lupin is at his coolest, performing as a very efficient master thief. He also has no qualms on killing other crooks, and judging by the grin on his face, Lupin seems to enjoy the art of murder. The stars of this anime are Lupin and Zenigata, who constantly outwit each other in games of cat and mouse. Most episodes are focused on this rivalry, giving very little attention to its other cast members, but this series does present them with grey morality. While the stories are dark, there is still humor to be found, as the show had 3 directors being Masaki Usumi, Isao Takahata, and even Hayao Miyazaki. Despite their differences, the show was actually cancelled due to poor ratings, but the series managed to survive via television reruns, leading to a sequel. Even with the many anime Lupin has today, since 1971, this Green Jacket anime still holds a criminal perspective that has been imitated, but never surpassed.
Lupin the Third. Lupin, 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 Lupin. Lupin the Third.
Part 2 Red Jacket, 1977, 155 episodes. Red Jacket excels in perfecting the Lupin formula over finally giving the other characters some deserved screen time. This is where Jigen, Fujiko, and Goemon start to have a more developed role in the Lupin series. They each share unique traits allowing for plots to be modeled on their interactions within the group. While the characters behave at their very best here, Lupin starts to show a larger interest in Fujiko, usually through perverted antics. While this is true to his manga source material, Lupin's criminal behavior is taking a bit of a backseat, as he's much more heroic in this anime. Criminals and thievery are still featured in this show, but it certainly feels different from the previous Green Jacket. Much of it has to do with certain episodes that venture in weird menace territory, including vampires, Frankenstein's monster, fire-breathing zombies, but also myth and fantasy elements such as Journey to the West, dragons, the Loch Ness Monster, or even stories of science fiction such as swapping bodies or some strange phenomenon. The point is, these characters are excellent, but the story/plot content will vary per episode. Again, this is being true to the manga, but the previous Green Jacket didn't have many situations that strayed away from the norm of a crime setting. Part 2 Red Jacket tries to do a lot of things with mixed results. Its success is found in the music by Yuji Ono, who's responsible for Lupin's most iconic songs, but this Red Jacket series also excels in showing off the characters. And I guess that's what's truly important. Part 3 Pink Jacket, 1984, 50 episodes. This one manages to combine the criminal elements of green and the zaniness of red. creating a wacky looking yet really cool crime show. With its usage of eye-popping colors, Pink Jacket stands out the most of all Lupin series as it embraces 80s trends with its Mad Magazine manga style. Think of it like Batman the Brave and the Bold. Everything is very exaggerated but somehow capable of staying true to its spirit. In this case, the soul of a thief. This show is a good example of a question: how over the top do you want your Lupin? While Red also contains these elements in greater amount with 155 episodes versus 50, Pink Jacket adjusts Lupin to be as smooth as his Green Jacket counterpart while keeping his Red Jacket dirty sense of humor. Lupin even has new gadgets exhibiting numerous surprises and constantly keeping the audience on its toes. I'm surprised how Pink Jacket often gets ignored or treated as a bad anime. The series had a misconception for its terrible fan subs and for its silly nature in the second opening. And then I asked those people, didn't you watch Red? It was a very outrageous, goofy anime, especially with scenes like this.
Ahoy there! Prepare to be boarded!
Excuse me?
Bikini Inspector.
Zenigata, at last! Oh, Pops, it's been so long! Let me kiss you all over! Mwah, mwah.
In my opinion, Pink Jacket combines the best of both worlds, but there is something to criticize. The art style does take a nosedive around the last 20 or so episodes, as character designs will get very off-model. This could be intentional as the original manga did contain random bursts of goofy imagery, but the women look terrible because of their weirdly shaped heads. But before that happens, Pink is a good show, especially to viewers who want to see a Lupin anime that's closer to its manga. Part 4 Blue Jacket, 2015, 26 episodes. In 2012, the woman called Fujiko started the trend of plot-related Lupin anime, and Blue Jacket follows that style with the Italian Dream. The series strictly takes place in Italy. Previous Lupin anime would take place all over the world, but this show would cater to the Italian fanbase. Italy is a fan of modern anime, but their true dedication is to older titles such as Tiger Mask, Ashita no Joe, Fist of the North Star, Go Nagai anime, Tatsunoko anime, and were even into JoJo before it was cool. Blue Jacket premiered in Italy first, which included an Italian dub and Italian soundtrack, and will later premiere in Japan with a Japanese score and Japanese dub. Meanwhile, America is pretty low on the list, but hopefully we can change that. Blue Jacket provides an art style similar to Red Jacket, and their character portrayals seem to be about the same as Red and Pink. However, since this anime has an ongoing plot, this means we need to add new characters to enhance the story. This could be a recurring event as Part 5 has been announced to be set in France, and I assume it may follow a similar structure to Part 4. What makes Blue Jacket unique among the other jackets is the specific setting and new faces, but in terms of comparison to its other anime, Blue doesn't really have its own identity other than being modern or Italian. Green had the criminal syndicate, Red had the character chemistry, Pink had the manga visuals, and Blue has a modern plot? Technically, the woman called Fujiko did that first as the new modern show. Even with the plot of 13 episodes, it still kept its focus on its main characters, while Blue Jacket wants to juggle several things at once, possibly sacrificing plots for main characters, or substituting main characters for plot. The form of this Part 4 anime seems to carry material that is usually seen in Lupin movies and TV specials, being the damsel who falls in love with Lupin and a villain who hurts her. Seeing that type of story in a movie or TV special is appropriate for its length of an hour and 30 minutes, but for a TV show of 26 episodes, plenty of TV specials and movies have done this before, and Part 4 doesn't feel like it's adding anything new to the table. Even the Women Fujiko series had its own special features among the entirety of Lupin, being its new redesign, stylish shading, a return to criminal roots, and a much darker story. In other words, new territory. I just don't see a noticeable standout gimmick to explain in Blue, which is why I had difficulty in writing this video. In short, it all comes down to whether you like these new characters, for they'll determine if you enjoy this anime or not. Personally, I'm one of those people who doesn't like it that much, but my thoughts shouldn't stop you from watching the show and forming your own opinion. Despite my dissatisfaction with Part 4, I'm still watching it because it's Lupin on TV. I didn't grow up watching Red Jacket on Adult Swim, but now I have a similar opportunity with Blue Jacket on Toonami, and I want to support the show. I purchased this anime because I want more of it to be licensed. I even want the manga to come back in print just so I can see how fucked up the original Lupin is. Being 50 years old, this franchise has made its place in anime history, and every new fan is welcome into the series by a different incarnation, and Blue Jacket is currently that door for a bigger fan base. You shouldn't care what I say. If you want to watch the Fujiko series because it's seinen, or just for seeing Fujiko naked, then go watch it. If you want to see the blue one because it's newer, go watch it. You want to see the green one because it's the first in line, then go watch it. Every Lupin anime is different for that exact reason. We all like different things, and it's up to you to explore what you like about Lupin the Third.
You got to feel it. Yeah, Lupin. Yeah, Lupin. You're great.
That is until Part 5 came around. So here's an updated section with 2020 information. Part 4 was partially about plot, split between episodic stories featuring damsels in distress on various occasions, while incorporating new characters who may or may not return. They mostly didn't, because Part 5 took all the problems I had with Part 4 and got rid of them. Part 5 is structured with mini-arcs similar to Gintama, which dealt with small plots that will later connect to the finale, and the new hacker character, Ami, is steps above Part 4's Rebecca Rossellini as Lupin's wife. Meh. Part 5 would also have standalone episodes, which was dedicated to a previous Lupin part, so the colors would change, but the art style would remain about the same. If Fujiko's character design changed with every flashback episode, then it would fit better as an authentic tribute, but what we got is still good. Part 5 was such a good treat that really explored the team dynamics, forcing them to spill their guts about each other. Also, the characters got to kill a lot of people, so they're not just good Samaritans. If you've seen a lot of Lupin, the more Easter eggs you can pick up. But you could use Part 5 as a recommended introduction to Lupin. It's a good one to pick up that manages to evenly split the cast, even with its new recurring character Ami. She adds a new element to the team, and the story does go in darker routes than the standard Lupin presentation. Part 5 is great. Here we are at the finale of the introduction to Lupin the Third, anime movies and TV specials, and the few OVAs that exist. There's not much to say when it comes to the remaining anime materials of Lupin, the most notable being every year Lupin the Third gets something new. There's currently more than 37 pieces of anime TV specials and movies, some which are licensed, some that are dubbed, sometimes more than once. But then there's the rest which aren't available through legal means. The anime company Discotek has been successful in licensing Lupin the Third and usually has home video releases on a yearly basis. There's still a lot of Lupin to grab, but Discotek will eventually have everything. One day, people can purchase all of Lupin the Third, and that is currently one of my goals as an anime fan. All you really need to know about the features is they tend to have recurring plots. Using shonen films as an example, those movies always feature a new villain. Some girl who needs help from the heroes, the bad guys beat up the shonen protagonist in the beginning of the story, but are defeated by the end of it. In my speculation, a Lupin movie started the shonen film trend with the Castle of Cagliostro, and ever since Miyazaki created this film, other Lupin specials and movies would recycle this story structure with mixed success. There were a few times where the new character would be a child, but most of the time it's some chick who falls for Lupin or someone else. Other scenarios also focus on the other characters, but this easily leads to a very noticeable problem: balance. Getting back to shonen movies, most of the more modern titles always introduce a new character who's so crucial to the narrative of the tale, which almost makes the main shonen cast kind of out of place or not very connected to the conflict. This happens a lot in the Lupin features, with Lupin having the most screen time, but poor Goemon and Zenigata usually get kicked out for lack of relevance. The inclusion of a new love interest also pushes away Fujiko from interacting with Lupin, so any possible romance between the two is diminished. But what about thievery? There's not much time for that either because the individuals doing the most heinous crimes is the movie villain and his or her henchmen. While it sounds like I'm bitching a lot and making it sound the movies are bad, they're not. They just follow different rules for the sake of cinematic productions or extended storylines to be made within an hour and 30 minutes. Not every TV special or movie follows the mentioned formulas, with each story being a case-by-case scenario, but they certainly offer variety. Throughout these introductions, I kept mentioning characters looking and sounding and behaving differently, and it's more noticeable in these features. For example, in Bye Bye Lady Liberty, Lupin wants to quit being a thief, which is something that sounds really out of character for me. Meanwhile, in Castle Cagliostro, this is supposedly a very old Lupin who rescues a princess instead of stealing anything. In Dead or Alive, we have a Lupin who makes two countries go to war and plays with a woman's heart just so he can steal some gold. See the difference? If you look around the internet, there will be lists of Lupin movies to watch and others that are treated like crap. But here's the thing, I recommend you to watch all of them at least once. With the current 37 pieces of Lupin anime, there will be things you don't like, and chances are, you'll really like a movie that someone else absolutely hates. I really disagree with the list I found online, and the only way to know for certain whether you like Lupin or not is to explore at your leisure. To me, the only bad Lupin is a boring Lupin, and that happened twice. Personally, I found Elusiveness of the Fog and Princess of the Breeze the most boring Lupin TV specials, but I'm sure someone will disagree. Lupin the Third is a very diverse anime, and the biggest evidence of that fact are the TV specials, OVAs, and the movies. In 2018, that's when I'll start exploring everything Lupin because I'm burned out. These 4 videos went on longer than I anticipated, so I'll conclude with a list of all the Lupin anime that exists thus far in the year 2017, because Lupin the Third will continue to grow. Some of my favorites include Mystery of Mamo, Bye Bye Lady Liberty, Jigen's Gravestone, Goemon Spray of Blood, First Contact, Angel Tactics, and Lupin vs Detective Conan the movie, just to name a few. So I bid farewell to Lupin the Third, but I'll see him again next year in France. And to finally conclude this video, hi, I'm the Anime Hero, and you just saw my biggest work in a single anime series. Most of this video were made of 4 different uploads that nearly killed my channel due to TMS manually removing videos containing Lupin the Third. I submitted counter notifications and won, but I felt that this takedown would eventually happen again, so I just deleted them with plans of re-uploading the videos in a single upload. That way, I will only get 1 strike instead of 4, assuming it gets pulled again. So for almost 3 years, I was afraid of uploading them again, but with the recent news of Lupin the First, the best CGI anime movie, getting licensed, I thought it was time to blow the dust away. Lupin the Third has continued to be released by Discotek Media, and the Takeshi Koike movies have excelled in the rule of cool, but I have no idea what's in store for this franchise, and I just hope this video gave you an incentive to explore Lupin the Third. I'm the Anime Hero, I review anime so you can enjoy it.